Right then, game time. Manchester United are facing off against Aston Villa this weekend. Villa currently unbeaten in pre-season so far. It is pre-season. Last season's meeting saw Villa win 1-0 at Old Trafford, and then it was a 2-all draw at Villa Park later in the campaign. There was also a 1-0 win for United during the FA Cup. Basic principles under Gerrard are pretty clear. It's a 4-3-2-1 sort of formation in which the wingers come in field, essentially play as a pair of number 10s. Really aggressive overlapping fullbacks give them the width, targeted pressing in the middle third of the pitch in particular, and neat possession football that goes vertical through the lines. That's pretty much how Steven Gerrard likes to play football. All things that we saw deploy against us the last time that we played them, and they're certainly very centrally orientated, and they love to come down the centre of the pitch when they attack. Defensively, they've become a lot more aggressive under Gerrard, which is clearly a trait of his from when he was a player. There's quite a lot of high press and a fair amount of high energy in it as well. Probable 11 that I think we could see: Martinez, Cash, Carlos, Mings, Dean, McGinn, Kamara, Coutinho. It gets better. The defence terrifies me. If I was a Villa fan, I mean, Cash is all right. Dean's all right. Tyrone Mings, Jesus. Midfield's decent though. McGinn, Kamara, Coutinho, Buendia. Yeah, it's good. And then Ings, Watkins leading the line for them. Starman, I'm probably going to go with, everyone's probably thinking like Coutinho, isn't it? But I think it's Watkins. And I think the way he was top scorer last year for Villa, caused us particularly all sorts of problems when he played against us last season. He is quick. He constantly threatens in behind. He does make clever runs from inside left channel, and he's dangerous against the high line, which is what we're probably going to be deploying. He's also a threat when he's got the ball at the feet. He is a good dribbler of the ball. He makes a bit of a quick shift that has a knack of being able to get half a yard on people, and he's a good striker of the ball with both feet, which makes him dangerous. And he's a threat at the back post as well because he's good in the air. Match winner for United, I think in this particular game, I would go with Bruno Fernandes. He's not really had a direct goal contribution to his name on tour, which is unlike him. I think his performances have been getting better, particularly with the players and the runs that are coming away from him. He's been really diligently going about his business. I think he's probably the one player I would expect to see a real turnaround from this season. And he's been pulling a lot of United strings in the final third. And I guess that even though he hasn't chipped in with a goal or an assist, he has been showing very, very promising, I think. One of the biggest criticisms of him in his time at United is his frequent carelessness on the ball. Now, my own opinion on this is you're allowed your creator to be someone who loses possession. Now, not willfully, obviously, but in the process of trying to make something happen, they lose the ball. At one point, the players that lost the ball the most in world football was KDB and Messi, and they was at the time they was the two players with the most assists in world football in that particular season. Bruno's the same. Bruno loses the ball a lot. It's quite frustrating, admittedly, right? But Bruno was literally the Premier League's most creative player last season. So you have to take the yin and the yang. You can't ask him to play safe. He ain't going to create those chances. If we was putting away the 78 chances, whatever it was that he created last season, well, for starters, he's breaking all sorts of assist records, and United probably don't finish sixth. So you got to look at the forwards for it last year. Bruno looks like a much more calculated player, though, I would say, under Ten Hag. Could be because he knows where the runs are likely to be. Could be because he knows he's actually got movement off the ball ahead of him, which helps him be able to land those passes. He still looks for the final ball very often, but he does look like he's a little bit more calculated with it, in my opinion at least, anyway. He still wants to play those line-breaking passes that allow teammates to dart into space and wreak havoc, but he's doing it when it needs to be done, and he's doing it when there's runners and not just nothing, which has been the case at times in the past. I think he plays a massively pivotal role against Villa. United 11 could be all up in the air because we don't know what the scenario is that Ten Hag's playing with, but I would say we're starting to see what could be United's best 11. which would probably be, I think, De Gea, Delo, Malacia. I think it'll still be Maguire just for political reasons. I know that he's not going to pick on political reasons, but I think it'll probably be Maguire alongside Varane. And if that is the case, I fully expect it is Maguire that loses his place once we're back in the UK and Martinez gets a go. Midfield, I'm really struggling choosing a midfield, to be honest. I wouldn't mind seeing Donny and Fred together with Bruno ahead of them. Because I think that's potentially how we're going to line up. And even if it is De Jong instead of Van der Beek, it's not far off in terms of how they would be deployed. And then the forward three is picking itself at the minute, Rashford, Martial and Sancho. There is a serious amount of lack of depth at the top end of the pitch. I'm not sure how much of that is going to get resolved before the end of the transfer window. But that's the 11. How do we beat Villa? Well, for starters, you've got to have an extra man in midfield. The midfield two in the pivot can easily be overrun by their midfield three. And we said this before the last game, and it was literally the case. So Bruno's going to have to play as a midfielder. They have +1 in midfield. Bruno is going to need to actually play midfield and not like a second striker. It's been shown that we haven't really got the quality for the two to work in there, particularly against what is on paper. McGinn, Kamara, Coutinho's a better three, right? Let's have no bones about it. People who use Villa, it's literally a better, three better midfielders than we've got. So you've got to try and overload that central area. Can you do that by pushing your fullbacks in to try and give you extra options? Yes. Can you maybe drag a forward back? Marshall's been doing it, to be fair, but he ain't ever going to play as a true false nine. So you're asking Bruno to do it. And you're going to have to try and find somebody else to try and get +1 in there as well. Midfield battle is where Manchester United win and lose games. Invariably lose games. So there's got to be supporting numbers, and sometimes that comes through work rate. Sometimes that comes through the defence stepping up and holding possession within them. I think that might be how we do it, in all honesty. I think we might look to the defence to try and step into midfield to create that overload. And then finally, space out wide. All the space against Aston Villa is wide because they go strong through the middle, and that's why it's difficult to overload them in the centre as well. The opportunity is for 2v1s in the wide areas. The way Marcus has been playing, again, not fully up to speed, but certainly looking better than he did towards the end of last season. And the way Sancho's been playing and certainly linking up with Delo on the right-hand side, I think that's where United's opportunities are in the wing areas. Play through the middle where they're strong, it works in their favour. Take them out wide, run at the fullbacks. One, you're going to pin the fullbacks back. Two, you might get a 2v1 against them because they're not going to double up with them because they're going to become more central than they are wide. So for me, that's how you beat Aston Villa. Let me know in the comments. Will we beat Aston Villa? What's your starting 11? And who do you think is going to lose out to Martinez? Is it Maguire or is it Varane? See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.